Welcome to the Sewing Report. I'm Jen, and we're tackling a common issue with doing applique designs on your embroidery machine. The more traditional method is to secure fabric in the hoop with a tack down stitch, remove from the machine, and then use those tiny scissors to meticulously cut away as much of the excess fabric as possible without cutting into the stitch line. However, if the design satin stitch is on the thinner side, it may not cover up the raw edge of the fabric. You can see an example here, and the result isn't awful, but it's not as clean of a finish as it could be. So what do? I've been testing out a really cool feature in Embrilliance Essentials, a type of embroidery software I picked up. Be sure to also check out my walkthrough video of the basic features of Embrilliance Essentials to learn more. There's a way you can save the applique shapes as SVG cut files in order to use an electronic cutting machine to cut out the fabric. First, you import the design file. This is a shell applique, and I chose it because it has a lot of curves, and I know that would be a pain to cut out with scissors. Expand the object by clicking the plus sign to show all of the programmed stitch out steps, and the first one will be the placement stitch. Click on that and go down to Properties. Select the thread for the placement stitch, mine is lilac. A new box pops up, select the Applique tab. Then in the drop-down, choose Applique Position. On the right side where it says Cutting, you can select how much outside the placement line you want to cut the fabric, from 0 to 3 millimeters. Because the satin stitch on this design is thicker, I went with 1.5 millimeters, but if you have a thinner satin stitch, experiment with 0.5 or 1 millimeter instead. When you hit Save, then there's an option to save the shape as an SVG file, which tends to be compatible with most cutting machine software. Name the file whatever you want, and also get the option to choose the DPI or dots per inch. I stayed with 72. Now open up whatever program you use to open and cut SVG files and upload the file you just saved. The shell is roughly 4 by 2 inches and the shape appears to be the right size, so I'm not going to manipulate or change the image at all. If you're cutting on a Cricut Maker, I'd recommend using the pink mat and the rotary blade. My attempt with the bonded fabric blade was a disaster. I backed the fabric with Heat and Bond Light, an iron-on double-sided adhesive. This demonstration is on the Brother PE800. If you're new to embroidery machines, I have a lot of videos about this model if you want to understand how it works. Got the design loaded up in the machine, and I usually loosen the tension a bit to 3.4 or 3.6 depending on the materials and thread. Here is the placement stitch for the shell. The coral fabric is 6-ounce canvas with cutaway stabilizer on the back. I've removed the hoop and it's now at the ironing station. You can see the shape does match up with the stitching outline, and I need to place it on top, overlapping the edge of the thread so none of the thread is showing. When I was satisfied with the placement, I used a mini iron to adhere the applique onto the main fabric. Insert the hoop back into the machine and continue stitching out the design. Currently, it's doing the tack down stitch to secure the applique shape. Then we get started on the satin stitching. Notice that the stitching completely covers up the raw edges of the fabric, which was the goal. This creates a much cleaner, consistent applique finish without all the work of manually cutting. Definitely a win-win situation. If you have an electronic cutting machine and in Brilliance Essentials, this is a hack I recommend you try. I will be using this one a lot. And let me know if you found this video helpful down in the comments. I'd appreciate a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the Sewing Report to learn sewing and crafts in a fun and approachable way. I'm Jen and I'll see you again next time, and remember, whatever you're doing, make it fun.